God, I'm sorry, all right? I screwed up. I know I screwed up. I don't know why.
Oh, great, of course. Here it comes. You keep doing this. You can't keep doing shitty things and then feel bad about yourself like that makes it okay. You need to be better.
I know, and I'm sorry, okay? I was drunk, and there was all this pressure with the Oscar campaign. But now that it's over, I
No, Bojack, just stop. You are all the things that are wrong with you. It's not the alcohol, or the drugs, or any of the shitty things that happened to you in your career, or when you were a kid. It's you. All right? It's you. Fuck, man. What else is there to say?
Cartoons, an imperative part of a child's upbringing. Over the past 2 decades, we've received a number of television shows that will go down in history as some of the best content to watch. These programs have since become a household name, like SpongeBob SquarePants, Invader Zim, Hey Arnold, and more. However, a great deal of thought has been sewed into making these characters. Even though they're just cartoons, the creators of these characters have never left out the human element, which is why we hold these characters so dearly to our hearts. As children watching these programs, we've seemed to overlook something that has been staring at us in the face for all these years. Now as adults, we can look back and observe at these cartoon characters with dark backstories. I always remember seeing this friendly face on my TV screen every Halloween. Despite October being a month full of scares and putting on your favorite costume, Casper puts our minds at ease and reminds us that not everything is as it seems. But if I could ask Casper one question, it would be, what happened to you? Let's go back a moment before we find out the answer. Casper was created by Seymour Reed and Joe Oriolo, and first published by Famous Animations for Harvey Comics. Now, it was said earlier in the comics that Casper was already a ghost boy and he already had ghost parents. Doesn't really sound all that exciting, to be honest. Lucky for us though, we would get a much more better rendition of the character's origin story in his 1995 live-action movie. He would be reintroduced as Casper McFadden, a boy who tragically died of pneumonia. Casper's mother would also pass away during childbirth. This is already pretty grim, but let's keep going. When Casper was just a kid, he would ask his father if he could go out snow sledding. Casper's father grew reluctant to let him go, but because he didn't want to see his boy upset, he let him go. And in Casper's words, he said this, "I went sledding all day. My dad said that's enough, but I was having so much fun. But it started getting late. It got dark and cold. I got sick." It's pretty upsetting to know the truth about Casper's passing, but it also brings a relief to the heart knowing that even in the afterlife, he's still trying to make friends and trying to live his afterlife the best he can. I'm gonna be totally transparent here. I was never really much of a Disney child growing up. You would have a better chance of catching me watching Nickelodeon. However, that isn't to say that I wouldn't visit the Disney Channel every now and then. And one of the Disney Channel shows that had everybody hooked back in the day was DuckTales. Huey, Dewey, and Louie were the nephews of Donald Duck, and they were a huge hit with audiences around North America. And if you were a curious mind as a child, then you would also ponder the question, what happened to the trio's parents? Ever since the beginning, we've only ever seen them interact with Donald Duck in the series, and their parents seem to be totally absent. What you see in the comics, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are the children of Dumb Bella Duck, Donald Duck's sister. However, their father is a bit of a mystery. Many fans have conducted their own theories as to what happened to the boy's father, but if we actually go back to look at their comic book debut on October 17, 1937, Donald Duck receives a letter from his cousin, Della Duck. The letter reads this: "Dear Donald, I am sending your angel nephews Louie, Huey, and Dewey to stay with you while their father's in the hospital. A giant firecracker exploded under his chair. The little darlings are so playful. I hope you enjoy them. Your cousin, Della. This letter strikes me as odd. Why would Della, Donald's cousin, send his nephews to Donald? Why not their mother? Fans concluded that the mother was so distraught from her husband's accidents because it was indeed the fault of Huey, Dewey, and Louie. It's also believed that their father's injuries were too much to heal and he never recovered. I do suppose that explains why the boy's mother didn't want anything to do with them anymore and just left it up with the cousin. And I don't even know if you could be really mad at them. I mean, after all, they're supposedly just kids, but damn, where do you draw the line? The Fairy Oddparents have grown to be one of Nickelodeon's best TV shows. The show has since garnered over 10 to 14 million views, and that's in kids, teens, and adult audience. Definitely a show worth mentioning. This show couldn't help but to make me jealous. I mean, come on. You're a kid with fairy godparents. Interdimensional beings that look over you and grant your every wish. Oh, right. Well, regardless, you get wishes and that sounds amazing. But think about it real quick. What did Timmy Turner have to do to obtain these beings of pure magic? Well, nothing really. Because if you look back in the series, what was Timmy's life full of right before he got fairies? A school where he gets bullied by students and teachers, a babysitter who is the literal spawn of Satan, and parents who literally couldn't care less about their 10-year-old son. This is what fairies look for in a child. Their lives need to be so stricken with so much misery that they need help from a higher power. That's insane. But here's where it gets crazy. You see, Timmy has had no fun up until the point where he got fairies, so he was willing to take full advantage. This gets showed in an episode where Timmy abuses the power of Cosmo and Wanda to the point where it attracts Jorgen von Strangle. So he takes Timmy to disciplinary school to better manage his urges on making useless wishes. This entire series has a lot of interesting stories, and it would honestly take me a long time to explain it all. But to leave it off with this, just remember, Timmy's life needed to be extremely miserable in order to obtain power that could either be taken positively or negatively. Also, what the heck is this? Her name is Harley Quinn, a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum. By now we all know who she is. Harley Quinn has grown in popularity in recent years with video games, movies, and TV shows. And because she is property of DC Comics, her backstory will not be a nice one. Harley would get her first on-screen appearance in 1992's Batman the Animated Series. She would be assigned to the clown prince of crime himself, the Joker. In pure Joker fashion, he made it seem like Harley was actually curing him, even telling her a story about his abusive father on how he would always try to make him laugh, but he was always met with the back of his hand. The more he talked, the more Harley wanted to see less and less of the insane side of Joker. She didn't want to see Joker the killer. She wanted to see Joker, the man she fell in love with. And she would go to great lengths to prove her devotion to him, ultimately jumping into the same vat of acid chemicals that Joker went into. It's safe to say that Harley was a hopeless romantic even way before she met the Joker. It seemed like she couldn't get anywhere with men back in the day, so she just focused on her entire career. Still sad to know that for someone who had no companionship in her whole life, can fall deeply in love with a complete psychopath. Can't wait for that next Joker movie though. Ice King, formerly known as Simon, was a historian, and he was on an expedition to find a crown that was cursed. When Simon found the crown, it made itself known to him by giving off a feeling of desire. Knowing the crown is cursed, Simon still put it on top of his head and slowly slipped into madness, resulting in becoming the Ice King. There was much more to Simon than just being an historian. He would also be the guardian of Marceline the Vampire Queen. Marceline saw Simon more of a father figure than a friend, even though she already has a father, but he's a bit of a bad guy. Simon always wanted to be there for Marceline, but the crown was too much power to bear. Marceline just had to sit there and watch her best friend go absolutely crazy. Simon saw the changes happen early on, so he made a decision to leave Marceline despite her pleas to making him stay. But Simon didn't want anything to happen to her, so he left, leaving a beautiful friendship broken. Don't worry though, eventually he gets rid of the crown and regains his memory. I know there's a lot of Adventure Time fans out there, so I just wanted to point that out. Now there's a lot of other cartoons with even darker stories, so if you guys want me to do a sequel to this video, leave it in the comments and like this video. I will catch you in the next one. See ya.